Hi, I'm Matto. This talk was originally written to accompany an exhibition at NFTBerlin in May of 2022, and in it, I want to provide a concise view of the Terraforms artwork by the Mathcastles studio, along with a bit of information about our related project, Hypercastle Explorers. Importantly, Terraforms are a relatively deep and complex work, and so for a longer and more detailed explanation, I've placed a link to the community slide deck in the video description. Terraforms is an NFT project by the studio Mathcastles, which consists of 0x113D and xaltgeist, two anonymous developers. The project consists of 11,000 NFTs, which the developers describe as on-chain land art from a dynamically generated 3D world. Terraforms can be engaged in multiple ways. At a base level, each token is a piece of animated art rendered on a 32 by 32 grid of text characters and delivered in an SVG file. The animated art is drawn in a web browser using JavaScript to change the colors and cycle characters of a custom-made font made out of shapes and symbols. Each token contains properties including zone, biome, and chroma. There are 75 different zones, which correspond to color palettes, and 92 biomes, which refer to which text characters or shapes form the grid for the animation. The chroma property has 4 options and governs the speed of the cycling of the animation. The combination of these properties gives the collection depth and variation, and in my opinion, gives an appealing diversity to the Terraforms overall. While many generative art collections choose to issue smaller editions of, for example, 500 tokens, Terraforms can be seen as something of a response to the NFT meta trend of 10,000 unit generative profile picture collections pioneered by CryptoPunks. The collection seems to pose an answer to the question, how does one create a generative art collection with 11,000 pieces that still feels rich, varied, and not repetitive? In addition to appreciating Terraforms as individual artworks, they also can be approached as a single, fractionalized work of invisible art. Along with its internal characteristics, each token is also assigned structural metadata, which are displayed in its name. Level 11 at 18,6, for example. This data situates each token as a part of a larger 3D structure, informally referred to as the Hypercastle. The Hypercastle has 20 vertical levels and narrows to a point at the top and bottom, with the widest points at levels 13 and 14. Importantly, each token also contains structural information about its internal elevation, in which the visible shapes in the 3D artwork correspond to elevations in a 3-dimensional map. This structural information is encoded in the smart contract of each token and can therefore be referenced and reproduced by calling the token's functions on-chain on Ethereum. This decision to release an artwork with both visible and invisible components is, in my opinion, one of the things that has drawn a dedicated community to the work. The absence of canonical images of the 3D structure of the Hypercastle has created a kind of vacuum, which has both filled the imagination of the community and also inspired us to create works and projects around it. The data-rich, on-chain maximalism of the piece means that there's data available to interpret and visualize, making Terraforms almost like an artwork as an application programming interface or API. Unsurprisingly, this especially appealed to an audience of software developers, and many in the community have built a variety of artistic and practical software applications based on Terraforms. In addition to functioning as both a 2D and 3D artwork, Terraforms is also a functional software tool in which each token can be transformed into a kind of drawing program, which overwrites the existing terrain artwork. The tokens have several different modes. Terrain mode displays the land art animation. Daydream mode enables the user to draw over that land art animation, and Terraform mode commits that drawing back to the blockchain for others to view. Importantly, transitioning from terrain to daydream mode is a destructive operation and cannot be reverted. A terraform can, however, be transitioned at will from daydream to terraform mode and vice versa, overwriting and committing new drawings to the chain. Terraforms can be thought of as part of an emerging aesthetic or movement of on-chain maximalism, a desire to encode and make accessible as much data as possible on the Ethereum blockchain. To this end, the developers have taken great pains and technical efforts to ensure that the entirety of each artwork is encoded on-chain into the contract itself and reproducible as an SVG or scalable vector graphics file, up to the point of encoding the custom font data used in the animations on-chain as well. In the case of Terraforms, this serves two purposes. The first is the goal of creating an immutable and long-lived artwork, a kind of bedrock skeleton of a 3D space that can last over long periods of time due to the distributed and hopefully resilient nature of Ethereum. The Terraforms contract itself makes gestures in this direction with functionality encoded in the work, which will cause the Hypercastle structure to collapse if no one interacts with it by entering tokens into Daydream mode. Each person who enters Daydream mode delays the collapse by 10 years, and so the devs gesture to the project lasting potentially for thousands of years into the future. The second opportunity afforded by storing data on-chain is that that data can be accessed and interpreted by other on-chain or off-chain applications. Ethereum is a shared public database and can be thought of as something like a single, unsharded game world that all participants are interacting with. Due to the permissionless nature of Ethereum, anyone can build an application which reads data from Terraforms and therefore interprets or represents its structure in a variety of ways. Because of this, Terraforms represents an attempt at the creation of a durable place in that world, which will hopefully attract attention from artists, developers, and experimenters on Ethereum. One such project is our own project, Hypercastle Explorers, which is created by myself and the team at 1000ant with support from the Terraforms community. Hypercastle Explorers started with the launch of an NFT project of 1,024 tokens featuring artworks which integrate the Terraforms into them. The goal of the project is to build an open-source Unity Game Engine SDK, or software development kit, to enable developers to build real-time games and applications which draw on the Terraforms data. Together with the open-source SDK, we're also building one such application ourselves called Hypercastle Explorer. This application allows users to explore both 2D and 3D visualizations of the Terraform structure in real time. All of this work will be completed soon and released for free with the source code open sourced on GitHub in the hope to encourage further experimentation and collaboration around Terraforms. This idea of Terraforms as an artwork with both visible and invisible layers stored on a public and permissionless database which anyone can read from and interact with is a new and compelling one. It feels like a truly blockchain native work of art which seeks to deeply explore the possibilities of this technology as an artistic medium. The approach of building a minimalist but beautiful, durable skeleton creates a kind of aesthetic negative space which encourages other artists and explorers to join in and engage with it. Until the fairly recent creation of blockchains and publicly shared but privately ownable computer code like Ethereum, a work of art like this wouldn't have been possible, and it wouldn't have been possible for people like us to build alongside it. Through the development of this new technology and the arts and culture around it, new possibilities are emerging, and we look forward to exploring them together.